Hello and welcome. I am Rajiv Gupta, a certified trainer and a senior technician at PCMacPlus.com. This is the introduction to A Plus Certification 2009 training review that I have put together for my students and individuals in the community. Today I am going to review the key points pertaining to floppy disk drives, hard disk drives, solid state versus magnetic, optical versus removable drives, which is a subsection of A Plus Certification Domain 1 Hardware, Section 1.1, which is Categorized Storage Devices and Backup Media, Part 1. So let's get started. What we need to understand about floppy drives is that one floppy drive connection, which you are going to find on the motherboard, which should be located very close to the IDE connection or the P1 power connector on the motherboard. But the most important thing that you need to remember is that one controller can support one or two floppy drives. Some of the facts that you should know about floppy drives is that two floppy disks do not get corrupted if they are stored together due to the low level of magnetism in each one. Another thing that you should know is that in your PC there is a twist in the floppy disk drive data ribbon cable. This twist tells the computer whether the drive is A or B drive. So if you look right here, there is the twist right there. So this twist means that this is going to be the A drive and this right here is going to be the B drive. So you have two connections, which is A, one is B, and then of course the next connection is going to the motherboard. Next thing that you need to know is there are no really serviceable parts in floppy disks. Next thing that you should know is that in the corner of every 3.5-inch diskette there is a small slider. If you uncover the hole by moving the slider, you have protected the data on the diskette from being overwritten or erased. Floppy disks, while rarely used to distribute software, are still used in these applications. This is one of the 1.44 megabyte, which is 3.5 inches. This is a 5.25 inches, and then this right here is 8 inches. The 8 inches floppy and the 5.25 floppy is totally different than the 3.5 inch floppy disks. We don't really use any of these right now, but some people still may have a drive installed in their computer. This is what the drive actually looks like, and you have the controller board in the back or in the bottom of the floppy drive. Again, here you can see a floppy cable connected. This is the power connection, which is Berg. This is a twist right there. So this floppy would be called A, and this floppy connection would be called B, and then the cable is going to your motherboard. Same thing in this picture they're showing is the twist right there, which this twist is telling you is A drive, and then the next connection would be a B drive. You may have two more connections there, but this connection is probably a bigger connection, which is for the 5.25 inch floppy drive, and this is for 3.5 inch floppy drive. Here we need to look at the floppy, how it actually works. What are the different components of the floppy disk drive, different parts. You can see that we have come a long way from a floppy drive to a floppy drive. So here, this is your 8-inch drive, this is your 5.25-inch drive, and this is your 3.5-inch drive. And here, if you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, these parts, you see a floppy right here, and this floppy has an opening that is showing you a diskette inside. And again, this floppy is opened all the way, showing you the whole diskette and how you can see the tracks on here. So number 1 is referring to a hole that indicates a high capacity disk. Number 2 is the hub that drives your disk. Number 3 is a shutter that protects the surface when removed from the drive. Number 4 is the plastic housing. Number 5 is the polyester that allows the disk media to rotate within the housing. Number 6 is the magnetic coated plastic disc. Number 7 is a schematic representation of one sector of a data on the disk. The tracks and the sectors are not visible. This is where the floppy disk drive cable connects to the motherboard. So if you look at this controller right here, and you see the label on the motherboard, it says floppy. And this is the pin 1, which tells you right here is the pin 1. This is another picture here. You have a small 34 pin controller for floppy, and then you have IDE controllers for hard drive or CD-ROM. So they are all located together here, where here this floppy controller is located next to the P1 connector for the power. This right here is the picture of a Berg connector, and you can see that you have a red cable, a yellow cable, and black cable. In this picture it's showing you blue, but it is actually black cable. The red cable is holding the plus 5 volt DC. The black is of course number 2 cable, which is holding plus 5 volt ground and plus 12 volt ground, and this one, yellow one, is holding plus 12 volt DC. The pin 1 is the slot is keyed with the keyed cable in proper orientation. In this photograph you can see how the disk is divided into the tracks. You have read and write heads, drive motor, stepper motor, mechanical frame, and circuit board. Learning about the details of floppy drive file system can help you understand how a drive is organized. The floppy drive file system is similar to that of hard drive file system, yet it is simpler and easier to understand. When floppy disks are first manufactured, the disks have nothing on them. They are a blank sheet of magnetically coated plastic. During the formatting process, tracks and sectors to hold the data are written to the blank surface. There are 80 tracks or circles on the top of the disk and 80 more tracks on the bottom. The tracks are numbered 0 through 79. Each track has 18 sectors, numbered 1 through 18, for a total of 1,440 sectors on each side. Because each sector holds 512 bytes of data, a 3.5-inch high-density floppy disk has 2,880 times 512, which gives you 1.4 megabyte of data. Divide this number by 1024 to convert bytes to kilobytes, and you'll find that the storage capacity is 1.440 kilobytes. You can then divide 1.440 by 1000 to convert to megabytes, and the storage comes to 1.44 megabyte. Most floppy disks come already formatted but occasionally you will need to format one. Whether you use the format command at a command prompt or Windows Explorer to format a disk, the following are created. The tracks and sectors are created. These tracks and sectors provide the structure to hold data on the disk. The boot record is created. The first sector on the disk, called the boot sector or the boot record, contains the information about how the disk is organized and file system used. 2 copies of the file allocation table is created. Under Windows, a hard drive can use NTFS or FAT32 file system, but floppy drive is always formatted using the FAT12 file system. Using FAT12, each entry in the file allocation table is 12 bits. Each FAT entry lists how each cluster or file allocation unit on the disk is currently used. Using FAT12, one sector equals one cluster, so every sector or cluster on the disk is accounted for in the FAT. A file is stored in one or more clusters that do not have to be contiguous on the disk. Here we are looking at the hard disk drive, most often called a hard drive. Comes in 2 sizes for personal computers. The 2.5-inch size is used for laptop computers, and 3.5-inch size is used for desktop computers. In addition, a smaller 1.8-inch size is about the size of the credit card hard drive is used in some low-end laptops and other equipment such as MP3 players. If you look at the picture here, you can see the 1-inch hard drive. This one is a compact flash device, and then you have 1.8-inch drive, a 2.5-inch drive, and then you have 3.5-inch, which is the hard brick. Different form factors imply various differences in actual hard drives that use them. Until the late 80s, there used to be 5.25 inches hard drives for high capacity applications, but the industry moved to smaller platter diameter and form factors for many reasons. Here we have the architecture of the hard drive. This is an open drive, and it's showing you, this is the actuator right here, and your spindle that spins your drive, and these are your platters and the read and write heads. Here you can see the read and write heads are on both sides, and you have 2 platters here. This is showing you how the track and a sector looks like here. Each disk surface on a hard drive is divided into concentric circles called tracks. Recall that each track is further divided into 5 12-byte segments called sectors. All the sectors are the same distance from the center of the platters that make up one cylinder. Track and sectors are written to a hard drive before it leaves the factory in a process called low-level formatting. The total number of sectors in the drive determines the drive capacity. Today's drives capacities are usually measured in gigabytes or terabytes. I have this website that you can go to learn how to partition the drives in Windows 7. I have another website that you can go and look and understanding how to use a disk management tool to partition your drive. Thank you for watching. This completes the part 1 of domain 1.1. Thank you for watching A+. Certification 2009 review.